Why are women still expected to hide their age and explain their past? Next up, we're talking about the silver hair era. Women choosing to go natural, own their age, and stop apologizing for it. But it doesn't stop at hair. We're also asking the bigger question. When women embrace who they are now, do their past sexual experiences really matter? Or is it finally time we stop holding women to outdated rules? Don't go anywhere. This is Party's Over. Externally, I wanted to look a certain way, but internally, I wasn't happy. I've had so many procedures, so many treatments, more than I can count. I started to really focus on doing things for my body that made me feel good. I decided to write my book to share this knowledge, and people have really resonated with it. And that night at 5 in the morning, there's a girl at the front door. I was able to figure out what a narcissist was because I was married to a narcissist.
There's some stuff in there I'm very surprised that you're talking about.
I can spot the red flags now from a mile away. I want the viewers of my show to walk away feeling great about themselves and feeling empowered. I'm going to incorporate my story as well in the show, but I also am very interested in learning about other people's stories.
I love your honesty and your genuineness. That's what makes you so authentic and real and why people want to talk to you.
Watch Party's Over. It's going to be fun, informative. We're going to have a great time. Party's over. Today we have Vanessa Chamberlin joining us, and she is a beauty and wellness coach for pro aging. How are you today?
I'm excited to be here. This is the perfect way to start my week. This conversation is that we're going to have today. I know we're going to dip into a lot of different topics, but it's what I live for. This unpacking all of this. I can't wait.
And let me start by saying you're absolutely gorgeous.
Stunning.
I mean, we're both sitting here. We're like, she's so beautiful. And tell us about yourself and how did you start in this arena?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have been I feel like I'm a master of, a serial entrepreneur. And prior to stepping into this industry, I have, I've owned restaurants, plant-based. I've been a health and wellness coach for, almost 2 decades, written, several books on health and wellness and self-worth. And what really and I've had a jazz band, I sing, I do all of these things, but it's always been, everything that I've been teaching has always been about what I needed to learn myself. Every single thing, it's just been unpacking. It's like, I learned something, I want to share it. I learned something, I want to share it. And how I got into this space came from the decision to go gray. It absolutely transformed my life. If you want me to keep on going, I will happily give you that story, but you tell me where you want to.
We would love to hear the story. What age did you go gray?
All right, this was September 26th, 2019. I remember it like it was yesterday. Oh, I'm going to get emotional. And it was, I was the girl that never was going to go gray. I was going to have a fund set aside for someone to color my hair when I was too old to do it myself. And that was never on my gray hair meant to me unlovable, not attractive, not viable, everything that I didn't want to be. I thought I wanted to be lovable. And for me, lovable meant how you looked, all of that was so tied to that. So this was not on my radar. I was on my way to visit my daughter in Germany and my youngest couple of grandchildren at the time. And I was growing out a pixie cut that I'd had for over 2 decades, or over a decade, I should say, at least a decade. But the gray roots were, I loved my pixie cut and I was growing it, but I'm like, I couldn't figure out what to do with these gray hairs. And I had very dark hair. And I did a 6-week stint prior to that to go blonde, which I'm not a blonde girl. I'm like the dark haired raven girl, never blonde. I cracked the blonde jokes. Okay. Like I had my girlfriends, they were like I was the brunette. And I even tried that, and it was like a 6-week disastrous attempt to go this color is what I wanted, but it was still more yellow and it wasn't right. So anyway, I'm trying to dabble with this. I go to Germany to visit my daughter, and I'm saying, she's like, Mom, what are you going to do with your hair? Like, what's your plan to grow it? I said, I'm not really sure. I just don't know what to do with these damn grays. And she's like, oh, Fabi, which is her husband, he can't wait till I go gray. No one in their family, he's from Germany, have any gray hair. They're all blue-eyed blonde. And he thinks it's so sexy, it's so beautiful. And I remember hearing that, but I'm like, oh, that's not me. And but that was like the little seed that was planted. And then I come back from my trip from Germany, and it's about 2 months in. I call my hairdresser and say, okay, it's been 2 months. I want to come in for my little trim as we're growing out. And I said, if we could just figure out what to do with the damn grays. And he didn't answer anything on the phone. And then Sandra, I don't know what happened, something like it was from a higher point, you know, it had to be God. It's just said, and I grabbed my phone and said, or F it. I could just go gray. I don't know where that came from, like literally. And immediately he says, "Atta girl." And then I immediately opened up my laptop and I started punching in beautiful women with gray hair, gorgeous women with gray hair, young and gray, models with gray. I needed validation immediately. And I was shocked at why I hadn't done this prior, that when I did that, there was all these beautiful women popping up with gray hair that I had never seen. Like, but just by doing that. And then immediately I texted back and said, that's it. It's done. I'm going gray. Period. End of story. I felt like this most freeing, terrifying, all thing at once.
That was very brave.
That this was what I was.
People don't.
Oh my God, it is.
And a lot of people don't know this. So obviously I have dark hair. When you have dark hair, when you start going gray, it's like every 2 to 3 weeks you have to color it.
Oh my gosh. Listen, because I had a pixie. I mean, literally, I'm talking, at one point I had a faux hawk. I mean, I had shaved the back and all of that. You can't hide the gray. Like it got to the point, and you understand this, especially being dark hair, is there came a point when those grays, they were not going to be covered. I could leave on, I would go once a month into the hairdressers. Then I would do the weekly, it got to where almost weekly box to do the roots. And then I had touch up in between. And then it got to where literally I could cover it, and it was not covering. Like they were so stubborn that they were, you know, like at this area here, you'd either have dye all on your face, you know, around to try to hide it. There was just, you couldn't do it. And you know, so I didn't do it because I was like, oh, I'm just so frustrated with that. Looking back now, there were lots of frustrations because you plan your trips, your events, everything. You hope the wind isn't blowing crazy so that your hair, the spots start showing, all of those things. That really wasn't in the beginning, the driving force. I think it was once I saw the beautiful women with gray hair, it opened up and sparked something in me that I immediately thought, I'm going to write a book about this. I'm going to document my journey. I said, I knew, this is the one thing I knew, ladies, is that this was going to be bigger and more profound and much, much more than about gray hair. I knew it in my gut. This was my calling, because this was, here I was 49, because you asked how I was 49, almost 50. I had turned 50 on the 23rd of October. So it was, it's about 6 weeks prior. And that, by the way, that last hair dye, that when I did that wasn't because I thought that was gonna be the last dye. That was, I just made the trip to Germany, had colored it right before. So I unwillingly knew that was my last hair dye. But just I knew this was going to be profound. And I also knew that I wanted to document it. And I had to come up with the most incredible. Here was the first thing I had to do is gray. Now I'm totally different about it. But at the time, gray, ooh, that's drab. That's not pretty. Silver, sexy. Oh, I needed this to be sexy. I was going to be the girl that was going to make gray hair sexy. It was going to be, and I think I have done a fabulous job at doing that, as being like the poster child for gray hair. But I needed that for me, because it's still the beauty aspect. But I also knew it was going to be renegotiating every single thing I ever thought I knew and believed about beauty.
Well,
because it wasn't tied to.
But also, you're stunning and you're beautiful. I mean, your face,
stunning.
You could honestly be bald, and you have the most gorgeous face. So I don't think it mattered what color your hair is, because you could be silver, you could be white, you could be yellow, whatever, or you could have zero, no hair, and you just have a stunning face.
Right. Right. And you know what's funny though, that I hear that a lot. And a lot of women hear that, and I get it, but I actually I unpacked a TikTok about this several years ago because it hit me. Um, we all know that, you know, beauty as far as like having pretty skin and, you know, depending on what your aesthetics are, whether you're someone who wants to have like, you know, I love like a less wrinkled face and a more taut, you know, that I love that. And there are other women that, you know, that are completely fine with aging completely, you know, with the lines, the wrinkles, all of the stuff that comes with it. And it's beautiful because we can do it how we want. But what I realized is that you're right. If you're not feeling good, you know, great, your face, you can look, if you're not, you know, not feeling your best, it won't matter if your hair is gray or if your hair is blonde or redhead or brunette. You know, gray really is another color. You know, we've got the stigma that gray equals our grandma, or because that's just what we're used to. In reality, we know that women have been coloring their hair for, you know, for a long time, and that most women, like me, I had my first gray at around 16 or 17, are actually gray quite younger, but we've done a good job, and we've had these beautiful tools that we can do to cover up. And like I said, I think gray is a beautiful option, but I also think color is a great option until it stops working for you, just like anything else in
I
life.
agree. And basically, I mean, beauty comes from the inside anyhow. So you're teaching women to love themselves. The confidence
Yeah.
just comes from within you. And the way that you speak, you can tell how much you love yourself, you know, on the inside, and that beauty's coming from inside of you and projecting.
Thank you for recognizing that. And that is also something else that I've shared in my journey. And I remember an epiphany at about 6 weeks in. So we're talking about oh, I just want to cry. This is such good stuff, but it just brings back about 6 weeks in. I'm looking at the mirror. I'm looking in the mirror. And, you know, I've got 6 weeks, you can imagine, you've got gray roots, you know, just peeking out here. And we're always judging by that little, you know, half an inch of what we think our gray is going to look like. And my entire life in relationship with gray hair, and as it pertains to me, has been disdain. You know, I feel some shame around it, some, you know, just embarrassment. Again, the not pretty, all of that. So I have been so incredibly mean to myself when it came to the gray hair with all the, you know, with the body stuff. We can be our worst bullies. And at 6 weeks in, I was looking in the mirror and I just said, I love you. I love you. You are beautiful. You are so beautiful. And there is something shifted and you know what, I was saying those things once I'd made the decision to go gray, that I was trying to be really good about not, like, I was not saying negative things in my head. But you know, you've got 2 decades or more of that story of just shame and hatred. Every time you see the gray, you'd be like, oh, I look old and ugly, and ugh, all the things that I would say to myself. And when I started seeing the gray as beauty and that she was lovable and gorgeous, it transformed the whole experience. The entire, so I try to get women from the get-go when they decide to do that. And it's not just hair. I mean, we can do that with anything we're letting go of. Anything that we've had a negative narrative about, we can turn that around. And it worked like a charm. Like, it just became, every day I would look in the mirror hundreds of times a day. You don't look in the mirror more than when you're going gray, because when you just decide to do that, because you're looking at, has it grown, you know. It's like watching the pot boil, but 10 times worse.
So how
because
long
it's
did it
slow.
take for your hair to grow completely out to where it is now?
Well, my hair does grow really fast. I have a very, very healthy diet and lifestyle, so my hair has always grown super fast. And because you know, I was growing out a pixie, it was pretty short when I think it was about here when I started growing gray. I knew I wanted to grow it longer. And so it stayed a little bit longer. I think it was about 2 years. It probably could, you know, maybe 2.5 years even. It could have been I mean, again, you could have cut it. I could have dyed it. I could have cut it. I could have buzzed it. You know, women ask all the time, what's the, you know, why did you do the slow grow? And Sandra, the slow grow, to me, although there is not one wrong way to do this process, the slow grow to me, I knew from the very beginning was going to be the biggest bang for the buck, because it forced me to learn to accept and love at a slow, beautiful pace the gray that was coming versus the shock of buzzing it and it just growing back, or like I said, but I'm not knocking any of those ways. But for me, the rich self-worth and the at peace that you feel when I'm talking about this, or that how I speak about this, came from that process of taking the time to really negotiate, like to watch it grow. I couldn't just it wasn't like instant, like some women go and get their hair completely gray, blonde, bleached to gray. And initially I thought about that for a second, but I also knew that when I had done my bleach, it fried my hair. I've heard people also say, wow, I didn't have time. It was a shock, and it was like a little bit too much because they hadn't gotten used to that process of, it was like going from redhead to raven black all at once.
So it
It's
taught
a
you
shock.
patience.
So for me, the most
Taught you patience.
yes, and it taught me, oh my, and I don't have patience. Like but it has taught me so much patience, for sure. It has been such an incredible experience, like I said, and it's been so much more because it opens the door when you let go of anything that no longer serves you. Again, be it your toxic friends, relationship, hair, habits, whatever those things are. It really opens the door for letting go in every other area of your life.
What's your personal life
It's really
like
a beautiful
in terms
thing.
of are you dating? Are you married? Do you have a significant other?
I'm
Oh,
widowed,
sorry.
and I'm widowed. So I lost my husband to suicide some
Oh,
years
sorry.
ago, and was remarried for a period of time. Thank you. Um, and that was the other thing. I'm really looking for love. Here's my little pitch for love. While I
Let's hear
got,
it.
yeah, might as well pitch it. I love love, and everyone knows that. I post about this a lot on my social media channels. In fact, I have a video that I made a few years ago that has been chopped up and reused and abused in so many ways because they have made fun of me on this video of my deep desire for finding love. And I cried and I literally was crying because I'm like, I was tired. I'm tired. I want my life. I want someone to share my life with. I deeply want love and want that partnership. I am the old fashioned girl. I can do things on my own, but I believe in that partnership. And I have not found that person to share my life with in this next chapter. And I am praying for it. That is on the top of my list. But going through the gray hair during that process, that was something in the beginning. I was like, I'll never find love, or and then I thought, oh, I'm not going to find love during the process. Now that's been, it's been several years since I've had a date. And it's not that I have I'm on different dating apps, and I have loads of people that will reach out to me. But if you saw I know there's a lid for every pot, and I don't ever want to feel bad, but if you saw the men in my inbox,
Yeah.
you would cry.
No.
You would say, "Oh, Vanessa."
No.
It's
No, it is.
it's
A
rough
jungle.
out there.
I'm single
It is
as well,
really,
and it's
really
a jungle
rough
out there. I know. I feel for you because it's not that easy. So I grew up as you did,
Yeah.
watching fairy tales, and I believe in love, and I believe in the fairy tale, and I most of the time live in fantasy land. But I understand that it is a jungle out there. But I also believe that when the time is right, that person's going to come along, and they may come along at the grocery store or walking across the street, but you will find him.
I agree. You know what? And part of that is my fault as well. I got so busy. It's interesting. I got, I had my focus on growing out the gray, which was, I needed that focus for me. That was not a time for me to be starting a relationship. And, I went on one date, like about 2 weeks in, that I almost colored it again. And thank God this guy, who did not work out at all, he was from another country, but he knew I was doing this. And he's like, please do not color that to, for us to go on a date. Please don't do that. Thank God I didn't. It was a wrong fit by every sense of the word. But I also know that I have been so busy with this. Blew up. Like when I started my account, beauty brands started reaching out to me, and I started, doing all the just incredible opportunities. I've never been more busy in my life, or, up with beautiful opportunity to work and to grow. So part of it's my own thing. I have been working so much and not paying so much attention. And I don't go to bars and clubs, like I did when I was a young girl. So it's a little tougher to me. And at this age, I'm 56, trying to find, I always said that, and I'm an optimist, and I know that there's someone out there, but at this age, it makes it a lot tougher because most of the time they're either married or, either, and a lot with they either divorce, they lose a spouse, or they're divorced, and you hope it wasn't because they were a bad spouse. But yeah, I
Yes,
know it will come in
will,
God's
when the
time for
timing's
sure.
right.
But I wish it would
I
speed up
hear
a little
you.
bit.
Trust me, I thought that many times myself. But you're amazing,
Yeah.
and it's so great that you're able to help be such an inspiration to other women who are in similar situations where they're probably undecided about, letting their hair go gray, or they need help, like in feeling better about themselves, and how do they learn how to love themselves, and you seems like you're able to help them with all of that.
Oh, it's been so incredible. We have first of all, we have a beautiful community, and it's like not just gray hair. It started out that way, but the Silver Sisters is what we call it. And I have gray hair sisters all over the globe, literally that I have met in person from so many different countries. It's been so beautiful. But the idea, the camaraderie, I've never met a more inclusive, supportive group of women. I would say, the biggest challenge has been, when you think about women, the biggest bullies out there, honestly, have been women, other women. Sandra, I'm curious if you experience this, but I know for myself, you either get the group of women that are doing everything, that will do every procedure or whatever, and they're like, oh, you let yourself fall apart. Oh my God. Or then you have the staunch opposite, who are like the I'm not touching anything, and look what you're doing. Oh yeah, but you're wearing makeup. You went gray, but you're wearing makeup, or you can't win. Like, you can't win. The women so my motto has been always, and it will always be, that is age your way. Okay, just because I have gray hair does not mean I don't want to look beautiful. It doesn't mean that I won't do, skincare or Botox if I chose to, or any of those things. Like, my daughter asked me the other day, she said, did you ever have a facelift? And I said, I don't know. I said, right now I'm loving how I look and I feel good. I said, if I ever got to a point where I was really, unhappy continually, and I'd done all the things, I said, yeah, I would. Like, I have no issue with any of this. What I have an issue with is that people that are doing all these things and they haven't done the inside work. And I know that ultimately all of this fades and changes. And even no matter how much you nip and tuck and do all those things. And I think it's wonderful that we have these options, but I also know more than anything, it is an inside job. And if you're not at peace, it doesn't matter what any of this
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
on the
You're
outside looks like.
100% right.
It doesn't.
And you have to do it for yourself, not for
Exactly.
others.
Exactly. But you're doing such a great job.
100%.
All
But
of
that
it.
is the other thing. You have to.
It has to be like, whether it's Botox or your hair,
Yeah,
and
everything
it's your
first.
choice. Like, if you want to have gray hair and have a face full of filler, that is your prerogative. It's not for society to determine. That's for you to determine. Or if you want to have
Right.
dark colored hair and not get any Botox and not do any procedures, that's for you to decide. It's up to you how you want to age.
Exactly. It really is again, aging your way and not judging others. And I know, because I've thought about this a lot, because I've gotten many comments, negatively, in regards to when you get these negative comments. I 1000% know it has
It's them
nothing to do
being
with me.
unhappy with
Nothing.
themselves.
They're so
Yes.
unhappy with themselves, and I get it, because I can pinpoint, if I can pinpoint in myself, if I see someone and there's a jealousy or a pang, I know immediately it's me. It's me. It's not, so we all have it. Like, it is a natural thing in the human condition to judge or to have those kind of feelings. But when you don't know what to do with it or don't own that, that's when there's no personal growth. So for me, I love that. Like, now when I see it, like, ooh, Vanessa, what's going on? Why are you? And it will almost force me to immediately, kind of something I did would be, if I were feeling jealous or uncertain, is to make a positive comment. If I'm going to say, compliment what it's something that you desire, that you would like, doesn't mean that you feel bad because you don't have it, or because that person looks a certain way or has a certain thing, or has the perfect husband that you desire to have. All those things is, yeah,
No,
it's
you're
an inside
absolutely
job.
right.
Yeah.
The negativity,
You're absolutely right. So how can our viewers find
It is.
you? What's the best way?
But you can find me at Silver Liberation, which is why I named it Silver. It's sexy. Liberation. We're letting go of anything that no longer serves us. So Silver Liberation on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. And then also vanessachamberlin.com is my website.
This has been so amazing. We really appreciate you joining us, and this has been wonderful. Thank you. If your loving party is over, then do us a favor. Subscribe, share it with your friends, and help grow our community. We'll be right back. Next up, we're asking the question no one wants to say out loud. Do a woman's past sexual experiences really matter? And who gets to decide?
Well, I mean, I think that it depends on the context, right? Like, do somebody's experiences matter? Well, I mean, in what capacity? Like, say you're like a really conservative guy and you marry somebody and you find out about like your wife used to be a prostitute or something. Like, yeah, that does matter. Like, you were lying about it.
That definitely
Right?
matters.
I mean,
yes.
it matters. I think it really matters in whether or not they are I don't want to use the word advertising, but it's like, in what context are we talking, right? Does it matter if you were a little sexually promiscuous when you were younger and now you're not? Like, no, that doesn't matter, right? Like, who cares? But I do think it matters if you were like dishonest, or like if you were getting paid for sex. Like, yeah, I do think that matters.
I think that completely matters as well,
Yeah.
because
It's like a fundamental thing about you.
exactly.
It's a character trait.
Because if you're just promiscuous when you're in college, as opposed to actually getting paid
Yeah.
for sexual activity, like, of course your spouse should know that.
Yes.
Because that is definitely a character trait that we're
Yeah.
talking about, because that most of the time, people that are selling their body
Yeah.
for money, there are underlying issues, because you and I would never do something like that, no
Exactly.
matter what.
No
If I
matter
were starving
what.
on the street, nothing would ever bring me to that
And
type of a life.
I also think it's like this question, there's so many different facets to this question. Like, who decides? Well, who are you airing your sexual laundry to? You know, like, I think, like, yeah, whatever, you have a little bit of a past, but like, why are you going around talking about it? So I think if you are openly talking about your sexual history, you are opening it up for judgment. Like, that's on you, lady. Like, you start
100%.
talking about all this crazy sex you've had, well, you got to take whatever consequences you got from it. Right? Because you're the one that started talking about it. It's not like nobody dug it up. Right?
But should somebody be judged because they were promiscuous in college?
No.
No, of course not.
No. I mean, define promiscuous. I mean,
We've all been there.
Level.
Yeah, we've all been
I
there.
mean, I think that there's varying degrees to it, but I do think somebody's sexual history does say something about them. And I also think how they handle their sexual history and if they're opening it up is the real question, right? Like, if you're sitting here and you have decided to, like, let's just say, you know, you go pose for Playboy, right? Like, you did that. And I think whoever your audience is does have a right to judge that, right? And you knew that when you did it, right? So say,
100%.
like, OnlyFans, for instance, right? Like, this stuff's gonna haunt a lot of these girls, I think, because they're not thinking about it now. But yeah, you are allowed to be judged for that, you know, and you can agree. You don't have to necessarily agree with the people that are judging you, but you have to know when you go do something like that, you are opening up the floodgates of judgment. And when you are public about your sexuality, whoever knows about it gets to decide.
Because you're putting yourself
Yeah,
out
you're
there
putting yourself out there. It's
and
no
getting
longer-
paid for it.
It's no longer a private matter.
It's never a
Like,
private
if
matter.
something sexual happened privately, I don't think you should be judged for it. But if you put it out into the universe on your own volition, then you know what? You got to deal with the consequences.
100%. Deal with the consequences. And this is a good episode for our viewers, because if you are younger and you are on OnlyFans, or you are sugar baby and you're charging older men money per month to be with you, those actions and decisions could haunt you later on in life.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more.
And now it's time for Spill It, where my friend Veida is joining me to answer your questions. Veida, are you ready?
I am. Let's do this.
I'm dating a guy, and when I Google him, nothing comes up. No socials, no LinkedIn, no trace. Should I be worried or impressed?
Worried.
100% worried.
That's weird.
It's so weird.
It's absolutely not acceptable at this day and age to have no internet blueprint. And in fact, there are companies that remove your internet blueprint, which means he's hiding something.
So I met a guy this summer when I was in Europe, in Greece. And I met him at a beach club and we exchanged numbers. And I was really hesitant anyhow. I just didn't have like a great feeling. And then I thought, you know what, let me Google him just to see. And he told me that he worked at a law firm and he lived in Athens. I Googled his name, nothing. So, you know, if he literally is working for a law firm,
He should come up.
he would come up.
His bar or something.
Something
should
would come up.
Some-
Or at least a company website or an
something.
office. So I, of course, when he reached out later that evening, I ignored him because I saw that as a red flag. So to answer your question, yes, it's a complete red flag if somebody has zero blueprint in the world. It's like they don't even exist.
It's weird. It's shady. And something is off. So major, major, major red flag.
Because even if they don't have LinkedIn or Instagram or some kind
You
of
don't
social
need
media,
socials,
no.
but there should be something,
Something
like
a company
a
website,
property record,
something in your name.
a degree, maybe something.
Definitely.
Fishy, fish.
Red flag, walk.
Immediately.
Today was a reminder that women don't owe the world youth or apologies. Whether it's choosing to go gray or owning your story or deciding what matters in a relationship, the only standard that counts is the one that honors who you are now. Thank you to Vanessa and Veida for bringing honesty and perspective to these conversations, and thank all of you for being with us today. Thank you for being such an amazing audience. And as a thank you, I would like to give away 10 copies of my book, From Bullshit to Botox, to 10 lucky winners. Just comment below if you would go silver, why or why not.